From horsemen to werewolves, all the way to fallen angels and even Lucifer himself. Buckle up, most amazing fam, we've got a creepy one today. I am your host, Olivia Kozlowski, and we are diving into part 2 of the top 10 biblical creatures scarier than the devil. Before we get into this list, you guys, I just want to quickly talk about today's video sponsor, Magellan TV. Magellan TV is a streaming service that is dedicated to documentaries and documentary series. Whatever your thing is, whether it's science, nature, history, true crime, space, or even a good old docudrama, Magellan TV is sure to have it, and they also add new titles literally every single week, so there's always going to be new stuff that you have to add to your must-watch list. One of the things that I watched recently with my Magellan TV subscription, I know you didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you anyways, was this series called The Secrets of the Universe. I love all things space, and even though it is absolutely terrifying, it's also the most unbelievable thing ever. This series focuses on energy and a bunch of different forms of it that we see in the universe. Through the episodes, you'll take a journey into supermassive black holes, different simulations of cosmic events that got us to where we are now, and other crazy things like alien planets and even the life cycle of a star, including that wild, hot, gaseous supernova stage. If this sounds like something that might be up your alley, I have some good news for you. Magellan TV has decided to give most amazing top 10 viewers a free 1-month trial to check out their amazing service. Not 1 week, 1 month. And all you gotta do is hit that link in the description box down below, head over there, and start binging. It's only for a limited time though, so don't wait around, hit that link, and enjoy. Now, onto our list. Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have the Cockatrice. These creatures are mentioned a few times in the Old Testament, and they are definitely interesting creatures. They're essentially half rooster, half snake. I don't know why they loved mixing animals so much together, but there seems to be some sort of a theme. They're said to be born from the eggs of a rooster, which I'm pretty sure roosters don't even lay eggs because that's hens, but that's not even the wildest part, as this egg is said to be hatched by a serpent. These creatures are said to be able to turn people, animals, and plants to stone just by looking or even breathing at them. It's kind of like the Medusa of the Bible, I guess. In our number 9 spot today, we have werewolves. Werewolves are terrifying outside of the Bible, and honestly I didn't even know that they were in there. It turns out werewolves are one of the world's oldest monsters, and the fear of man turning into wolf-like creatures came long before the times of the Bible. That makes a lot of sense as to how and why these creatures ended up being mentioned in the Bible. I mean, it only makes sense that they would write about the relevant monsters at the time, but what is interesting is that they are never mentioned quite by name, and instead just described through like different kinds of imagery. In Daniel 4:33, while talking about someone who fled into the wilderness where he lived like an animal, it says, quote, "He was driven from among men and ate grass like an ox, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven till his hair grew as long as eagle's feathers, and his nails were like bird's claws." Sounds pretty werewolfy to me. In our number 8 spot today, we have the Seraphim. These creatures are ones that appear in the book of Isaiah, and their name translates to burning ones. That's bad enough, but when you find out that they are flying serpents, things get even weirder and more unbelievable. These creatures, despite their terrifying appearance, are the highest ranking celestial being in the hierarchy of angels, so the good news is there are creatures on this list who are doing worse things, but the way these guys look, it's really just not what we think of when we think of angels. These burning flying snakes don't just have one set of wings, and instead have 6 wings sprouting from their backs. Only one set of wings is used to fly, while the others are for covering their faces and feet. They are said to just fly around telling God how great he is while using their other wings to hide their faces and feet because they feel as though they are unworthy of looking at God and they don't want him to see any of their imperfections. In our number 7 spot today, we have Abezethibou. This fallen angel is described in the Testament of Solomon and is said to be one of the angels that followed Beelzebub upon his fall from heaven. He is the sin of pride and is known for his ability to lead people astray. He is most easily summoned in the month of July, so coming up quick, during the 5th hour of the night. After his fall from grace, he was left with only one red wing and was condemned to hell. He is said to have control over the imprisoned souls of Tartarus and plays a primary role in the demon world. He himself claims that he was once an angel in what is referred to as the first heaven, and after his fall he began to roam Egypt. During his time in Egypt, he met with Moses and the Israelites during the Exodus and opposed them. This is when he decided to harden the Pharaoh and his advisors' hearts and convince them to pursue those who were fleeing. He went with the Egyptian army in pursuit of the Israelites, but the collapsing Red Sea crushed and drowned him, which left him imprisoned in a pillar of water. Despite being trapped, Beelzebub says that he will one day return for conquest. In our number 6 spot today, we have unicorns. Did you know that unicorns are mentioned in the King James translation 9 times? That's honestly more than a lot of the creatures on this list. Some believe that these mentions of unicorns might actually be a reference to aurochs, who are a distant, extinct relative of modern cows, but either way, there is one passage that gives us a little insight into these creatures, and that is Isaiah 34:6-7. The sword of the Lord is filled with blood, it is made fat with fatness, and with the blood of lambs and goats, with the fat of the kidneys of rams. For the Lord hath a sacrifice in Bozrah, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea. And the unicorns shall come down with them, and the bullocks of the bulls, and their land shall be soaked with blood, and their dust made fat with fatness. In our number 5 spot today, we have the Nephilim. These creatures are definitely more mysterious in nature than some of the others on this list, and while there are some things regarding them that people can't quite agree on, one thing we know for sure is that they are large and they are strong. Some believe that these creatures are giants, while others believe that they are the hybrid sons of fallen angels and humans, and some even believe that they are extraterrestrials. So, safe to say there's a fair bit of debate. They are mainly mentioned in Genesis 6:1-4. When people began to multiply on the face of the ground and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that they were fair, and they took wives for themselves of all that they chose. Then the Lord said, My spirit shall not abide in mortals forever, for they are flesh, their days shall be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterwards, when the sons of God went into the daughters of humans who bore children to them. These were the heroes that were of old warriors of renown. In our number 4 spot today, we have the Ophanim. So these creatures just in general are very strange. They're actually the wheels that are seen in Ezekiel's vision of the chariot, so they're like creatures but also wheels? It's a weird one. One of the Dead Sea Scrolls classifies these guys as angels, but there are sections of the Book of Enoch where they are classified as celestial beings who never sleep and instead guard the throne. So while these creatures aren't necessarily terrifying in their actions, they're definitely creepy as heck in their appearance. They are called the many-eyed ones for a reason. It is said that these wheels have 4 faces and way too many eyes. Imagine having to ride in that chariot. Like, that's just absolutely terrifying and kind of uncomfortable. No thanks. In our number 3 spot today, we have Raphael. Raphael is one of the true archangels and is the 4th oldest of the 5. He is a powerful healer, a guardian angel, and a great fighter, so you might be wondering why he landed a spot on today's list. Well, there's just one story in particular that I really want to talk about, and that story comes from the Book of Enoch. In this story, Raphael is in a battle with the demon Azazel. Raphael is able to defeat the demon, but decides to subject him to a fate worse than death. The story writes, bind Azazel hand and foot and cast him into the darkness, and make an opening in the desert which is in Duadel, and cast him therein, and place upon him rough and jagged rocks, and cover him with darkness, and let him abide there forever, and cover his face that he may not see light. And on the day of the great judgment he shall be cast into the fire. If that wasn't clear enough, which, let's be fair, it probably wasn't, Raphael tied this demon up, buried him alive in a hole full of rocks in the middle of the desert, where he just now gets to wait until he can be thrown into a fire and burned alive. Gotta say, it's really dark. In our number 2 spot today, we have Lucifer. I know that many people interchangeably use the devil and Lucifer as if they are words for the same thing, but it's kind of like how Amber Heard used pledge and donate synonymously. They can mean the same thing, but they don't always. And today we are talking about Lucifer as a separate entity. Lucifer was an angel before he fell from grace. In the book of Isaiah it says, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations?" Lucifer is now the ruler of hell, and he commands an entire army of sinners and demons, and he even tried to organize an uprising against God. So I think it's pretty clear exactly why he is a terrifying entity. He also uses his power to send terrible people to Earth in order to terrorize everyone, as well as to try and tempt non-sinners into the dark side. It is said that Lucifer also might just be the one who is responsible for the original sins that were seen in the Garden of Eden. Some believe that he is the snake who placed the temptation there. In our number 1 spot today we have the 200 Million Horsemen. Many of us are at least slightly familiar with the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, but have you ever heard of the 200 Million Horsemen? Yeah, I hadn't until this list, and they are even more terrifying than just a regular group of 200 million horsemen would be. This is mostly due to their appearance, as they are said to have the heads of a lion as they spit fire, smoke, and brimstone from their mouths. Just one would be already terrifying, but think of millions and millions of them. They are also said to have tails like serpents, so we're just continually adding to this horror story. It is said that these horsemen will claim the lives of about 1/3 of humanity, and that there are 4 fallen angels who lead this army. So yeah, I'm sure it goes without saying, but this is definitely a group we should all strive to stay away from. Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thanks so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and I'll see you next time. Bye! In our number 1 spot today we have the 200 I just put 200 horsemen. That's supposed to say 200 million horsemen. Abezethibou.